Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning,
Oh man,
everybody.
beginning.
What's that?
Right here at the beginning. There's only four of us.
Yeah, yeah. It's the
Uh-oh,
usual suspects.
trouble showing up.
Just the best kind of trouble. All right. Bet somehow AWOL. What did you guys do with him?
And got stuck in May 4th.
Absolutely.
Maybe he didn't survive riding the bull.
There is theoretically film of that someplace, but he has yet to
Did
share
he
it with
really?
us.
I've seen it.
We made him ride the bull team after all?
I didn't go, but Mark took him. Greery.
Oh, well, for anyone who missed Connect in Vegas, you missed Connect in Vegas. I think it was a good time. I think it was technically time well spent. I think it was socially time well spent. I know I was glad to get in front of some of my coworkers that I don't see often enough and to meet one or you two folks for the first time. So it was good. It was good. I look forward to next year already. And I got a couple more people wandering in since we're just at the top of the hour. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on how far east or west you are. For anybody that wasn't at Connect, did you see all the press releases? Did you see all the marketing stuff coming out of there? Do you have any questions about any of the shiny new toys that are coming soon to this space near you?
I saw a face in all these press releases. Some gentleman by the name of Jim
Yeah.
Lippy, I
Our
believe.
new chief product officer, he gets around. He gets around. Um, yeah, no, yeah, anybody who missed it about 2 weeks ago, Jim, our old chief product officer, left for greener pastures. So well, a little bit unexpectedly, um, the position came open, and Mr. Lippy is now king of all things, all products, all the time. He's our chief product officer, and anybody who's worked with our team, um, thanks, Ben. Uh, Ben popped in, Ben popped out. Anybody who's worked with our team for a while knows that we very much have a progress over perfection, move fast, break things kind of model, and that comes very much from the top down. Whoops, that's that is very much Jim's modus operandi. He wants to bring value as soon as possible to the platform, even if it's not 100% perfect, and that's served us well here at SaaS Alerts. It served us well at Independence IT, the previous startup that Jim and I had some association with, and look for that to continue here. Jim's got a lot of ideas. We've got a lot of really bright people that have some ideas about where to take the platform and this massive data set that we now have. The quick overview is for anybody who wasn't there or hasn't seen the marketing. Everything that Ben has done and built as a test bed with the first 100 or so partners doing managed SaaS alerts, we're going to do something similar on the Kaseya side. And it's going to be called Kaseya SIEM. So a SIEM traditionally has way more data than anybody outside of an enterprise could really manage. And Ben's team have been managing fantastically with the data set they've got. As of last Monday, we have access to 1.2 billion alerts every day. That is an incredible data set. We were sitting about 300 or 400 million SaaS alerts alone, but involving all of the rest of the SKUs from Kaseya, we're now looking at 1.2 billion every single day. Our development team, I cannot say enough about those guys. They have been working on changing the backend databases and putting us in a position where we could scale truly massively with the data input. And they did an incredible job this spring doing that. So they're not on these calls very often. You don't see them often on the weekly calls, but if you ever get a chance, buy those guys a drink. They've done an amazing job. Leron and his team, and Adam and his team, has done some pretty impressive stuff. So what's the net benefit for you? Now with this massive data set, and here's the example I give. If there's an IP in Germany and it's attacking my friend Enrique in Texas, not a spray attack, not a brute force attack, a single attack, one failed password on one account they know is a high value target. And they're attacking my friend Tina in Canada. Same thing. Single attack, single account, one. That massively wide open spray. They're hitting our friends in Australia. They're hitting our friends in Brazil. I've got this view of the whole globe. I can see this happening, and I can identify where that threat actor is coming from, push it into that the dynamic conditional access policy. Enrique, you're not the only one who works there. There's actually somebody else. All I ever see is you. But imagine that with
Sure.
what we can do with it's pure illusion. Oh, okay. Thought you're in the office. He's at some airport someplace.
No,
Um,
I'm a TV con.
Very good. But that's the idea, guys, is that we have a privileged view that you have provided us by sharing your clients and your end user experiences. And we can, in an anonymized way, look for patterns, not just to establish a baseline on the globe, but establish a baseline for industries, for your clients, for specific user types. And that's going to help us understand where things are non-standard. That's where what we can really do with this big data. And so far, we've done it all programmatically and with algorithms. Um, but that machine learning is obviously the baby step into AI. And what the dev team is doing in alpha and coming into beta soon with AI is some really, really fun stuff. So I don't get to talk about Fight Club until we can talk about Fight Club, but just know that we're going to do some pretty fun stuff with that AI. So that, and I know there were some other products that I don't really pay attention to that happen to Kaseya, along with a lot of good socialization and everything else. But as far as Connect and where SaaS Alerts and Kaseya is headed, any questions about any of that? Dina, my friend.
I hope this question is okay and everybody knows the answer, but I don't know if you do or not. My voice still isn't back from Vegas. About the SIEM,
Mhm.
can you guys talk a little bit about the differences between managed, SaaS Alerts managed, the new SIEM, and RocketCyber? Because in my mind, I don't know how they all fit together, what the additional features are, what you would do, like if you were SaaS Alerts managed already, or if you were RocketCyber already, would you add that on top? Is it something that's kind of going to merge all together, or
Well, let's taking a quick step back. SaaS Alerts not going to change because people want that. They don't want anything else. RocketCyber not going to change. There are people like that. They're very happy there. If you have them both together, there are some things that RocketCyber doesn't see. They can't see any of the hardware data. Their platform just isn't built for it. Whereas going the other direction, SaaS Alerts can ingest from APIs and software like what RocketCyber has monitoring of and put it into a unified platform. You guys have had the privilege of seeing that. And that's what we've done for the last few years is put all of that into a console. Whoops, somebody else trying to get it. I'll put that into one console, a familiar interface, whether we're ingesting data from RocketCyber or Duo or Microsoft, trying to not homogenize that, but level set that so we have the same sort of expectation of what we get from each one. Now, Ben, can you help me better explain the nuances between what managed is delivering, which a lot of our audience here already knows, and what that would look like on the SIM side?
That's a good question, actually. So managed isn't going anywhere. There are people that will not want to have both of those license requirements and RocketCyber. So we're still going to stay where we are for people that just want us to manage their environment. But for the people that have SIM and that are currently managed, I'm not quite sure how that's going to go because essentially we're loading up their environment with the same kind of detection rules and IoCs that manage uses, and we're piping that over to RocketCyber. but we're taking a lot of our same rules. We're going to take the same kind of actions. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to all pan out, but I think MSA is just going to stay where it is because um, there are people that just don't want to go for the RocketCyber and stuff, and that's okay. So I asked Jim that same question yesterday. I said, "So are we going to merge? What's going to happen?" And he said, "For the foreseeable future, MSA is here to stay." So
Jerry asked a very good question about pursuing new API connections with
mm,
other SIEMs or other data sets, and I can speak very broadly to that. I don't know about AdLumen specifically, but Jerry, reach out to your account manager and tell them, hey, tell Dev we need to monitor AdLumen. Anytime you guys see an application that you'd like to see monitored, reach out to your account manager. We've got a process in place to let Dev know, hey, I've got a request for this, I've got a request for that. And even if it's already in process, every time you squeaky wheel it, that's an upvote. That lets us know that we need to pay some attention there. In general, yeah, there's a bunch of applications we're trying to get access to their APIs and get some data. Ben, did I misspeak on any of that?
no, we wanted to make it a point that we're not just solely limiting our stuff just to Kaseya products. Uh,
100%.
yeah, we want to be as vendor agnostic as possible. Obviously, Kaseya has a big pull with us, but we still are looking at other products too, especially if their APIs are there.
Absolutely. Deepak, what's going on?
Hi everyone. So I was looking into the SaaS alert portal and I find out that there is a new feature called indicator of compromise. Can you explain that a little bit? How we gonna use
Great
it?
minds think alike, Deepak. Our friend Eric was just nudging us on the chat about that same thing. Ben, help me understand. What is this new module called IoCs, Indicator of Compromise?
Oh, it's just a passing fad. You don't want to talk about that. No. Let's see. I'm actually working on several of them right now. Let me see if I can share my screen so you can see.
You're going to see a lot of parallels between a respond rule and indicators of compromise. We want to give you the ability to package perhaps several criteria into a single alert. Maybe not a reaction like a respond rule, but something that matters to you for visibility and alerting purposes, a little more streamlined than alert identified, alert made, attempted to do that, it was correct, and all that sort of verbiage, and try to put that in a little more compact way. And this is where it gets used. There we go. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question, Sam. What is the difference and what's the use case for the two? Ben,
Yeah.
you're up.
Okay. So we had a lot of people that created respond rules that just have an alert only action, and there are several products that we don't have any sort of respond abilities, and so we came up with IoCs to cover all of the different products, including the ones that we'll be putting into here from RocketCyber 2 that you can use to build indicators, just alerts, stuff like that. But I want to show you something really cool. I'll show you how we look at this. So if you go under IOCs, and keep in mind, any of the events or respond rules that you have that are alert only, you can convert them into IOCs if you want to. You don't have to. You can keep them as alert only. But I'll show you a really good example. We have one where we try to determine if the authentication is coming from an unknown device or a known device. So I created an IOC. It just says authentication from unknown device. So if I go under edit and I go under conditions, these are very similar to respond. These are the 4 authentication types. This is me trying to determine if it's a known or unknown device and not a mobile device. So I've set this up once and I've set this to a low. I can also scroll down here under IOC configuration and I can give this a custom event name. So I named this IAM event authentication from unknown device. I can make this whatever I want, and I can also add short code from the events that it will find. So before we had under settings, there's like all of the global events, and that was the only events that you had. Well, IOCs gives you the ability to create one of those on your own, and set the different parameters instead of just relying on whatever we found useful. But like I created this one. You can type in whatever you want here. which is kind of cool. And you can also do the same thing for description, and you can add short codes. So here's an example of what my event is going to look like and the additional information that's going to go along with that. But anything that's in there can be added. You can see you have just little insert buttons. And that includes any of the other events that I've teamed up with this event or with this alert IOC. So if you look at the different ones, like let's see here, we have those are common ones. Here's the ones for Office, for Shell. Here's ones for successful authentication. So all these different ones. Since this has about 4 different events, I can pull information from all that. But beyond that, I'll show you the really cool part. So say I have a rule that I use to identify unknown devices that are going to, like, let's see, like my sign-ins or something. Let's see if I can get that. Okay, so I can go into this one and I can go under conditions, and instead of defining like all this stuff in here, I can also add those IOCs as an event to trigger off of, which is kind of cool. So I could say, hey, you want to like, let's see, authentication from unknown device. Well, that has then covered pretty much that event right there triggering has covered all this extra stuff that I've had to put under here. And I can get rid of all this. So now if this ever triggers right here and the description has my sign-ins in it, that's going to trigger. And it's also going to take into account all the other things that I've specified under IOC, which is really neat. And in the past, people have said, hey, I want to be able to filter on this. I want to be able to filter on that. Well, something that I don't think they realized is that if you are creating this IOC, you define what's under the description details, which then can be filtered with all these different operators and values. So if I think some people have asked for like what account it affects or something like that. Well, if you put that in description details under the IOC, you can now filter off that, which I thought was really cool. So it saves you a lot of time and cleans up your rules, especially if you have a common, like a particular set of events that you use under your rules. It's a big time saver. Let me see if I find a really cool one. I think it was under a risky authentication.
Ben's looking at that.
Yeah,
Everyone here on the call has access to Discord. If you don't, shout out in the chat, because we're going to have a specialized board for IOCs there in the Discord as well.
Yep, it exists already. Yep, I just added it this morning, and added that the authentication from unknown device. I added that in there. But like this one is like I wanted to have a one that looks for authentication from an unknown device and has the risky activity that Microsoft will throw along with it. Well, rather than having like a really long rule and having to repeat myself over and over and over again, I just referenced the unknown device and the risky activity. And so this obviously includes everything that was underneath the IOC. I hope that makes sense. But it's just an easy way to set up these custom rules. Because like I said, or custom events, because like I said in the past, if you go under customize alerts, these 334, it's grown. All these different like events here have their own kind of variables that we have specified. Like there's ones for like multiple sign-in failures or something like that, but multiple failures. But in the past, we're the ones that defined 3. Well, maybe you want your multiple failures to be like 50. Well, you can create a multiple failures IOC that just has 50 failed login attempts. And when that event triggers, it's not like a respond rule, like it's going to send. I don't think it sends you like 3 emails or 4 emails or whatever. It's just going to say, hey, this triggered or whatever. If you decide that you want it to trigger by itself. The same kind of severity that you specify here can be specified under IOCs. So you can make them all low and only trigger if they're combined with other IOCs. Hope that makes sense. I've been playing
It does
around
for
with it a
me.
lot this morning.
I haven't had
One of
time.
the things,
Sorry.
please go.
I was just gonna say I haven't had time for ages to go back and dig around in here, but Ben, I'm just following along. Do you have to manually create your IOCs? Like when you click your drop down, for generating any of the following events, you had events that start with IOC.
Yeah, those are the ones that I created here.
Okay.
They'll start with IOC, but then they'll have this name that you've given them here.
Right. So we won't see pre-configured IOCs.
Not
Yeah, okay.
yet, but soon. We do want to add, I don't know if they're going to be called templates, but we want to
Seed
add,
ideas.
yeah, basically, and we want to do that very, very fast. So one of my responsibilities in the near future will be to vet and create IOCs that go into that library very, very fast. Instead of you having to create them on your own, you can just import them. So, yeah, that is the plan.
One other thing that I want to point out, when Ben was showing some of those short codes, for your process, we may be able to embed links to your run book, instructions to that tier one engineer who's not sure what to do because he's never seen this thing before. So some of our partners have asked to be able to customize the alerts so that their tier one engineers, or again, esoteric alerts, can give them some guidance. And that is absolutely what we're headed towards here. Today, or at least last week, when Leron was demoing this, he's like, "Yeah, you should be able to put in the HTML code here," and then it didn't work. But know that that's coming. So if you have some specific processes, again,
Mhm.
progress over perfection. If you have some specific progresses and links to knowledge base articles or to run books, you'll be able to dump those in there as well. Yeah, let's see if it works now.
No, it doesn't. I'm
Well,
quite
if
sure
you
that
spelled HTTP right,
I don't need to spell that right. I just need to do this. Yeah,
yeah, but that is absolutely coming.
I would imagine, yeah. That's gonna be fun. Whenever you're adding custom HTML into any of these sort of things, there's always a potential for abuse. So you need to be very careful about what you allow and what you don't allow.
You just put QR code in there. How hard can that be?
Script. No. Yeah.
Don't give them any ideas. It was
That's
it
the
was kind of
first
funny.
thing a
Anybody
threat
who,
actor would do.
yeah, exactly. Um, anybody who was at the pre-day for Connect, Ben gave a very effective demonstration on how to be a hacker from ground up. And I'm not sure that everyone in the C-suite was thrilled about that, but we wanted to expose you guys to the other side of the coin. These are the people that are thinking exactly that. If I had access, what's the first thing I would do? So try
I
to
told
armor
him it
you
was a
guys up.
good sales tool, but yeah. I convinced most people over here. Some people were like, it makes me nervous." I'm like,
Yeah.
"If it
Yeah,
makes you
it's a
nervous,
scary
it's probably
world.
making your clients nervous too, and you can show them how
Absolutely.
effective it is."
Well, and that was what struck me, Ben, is SaaS alerts. I mean, our audience, our friends, our partners, you guys face complicated challenges. SaaS alerts is not a simple tool. It is a complicated tool to meet those complicated challenges. But the problem is, as Ben demonstrated, sometimes it's remarkably easy to come in with your black hat, and we need a very complicated and powerful tool to fight back against that. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting compare and contrast to see those two sides of how easy it is for a script kiddie to set something up and how long we've had to build something and what it's taken to be able to put ourselves in a position to stop those script kiddies. Ben, over in the notes, Jerry had a couple of questions. Jerry, are you available to ask those questions out loud?
Sure, I
Sure.
could do that.
Yeah, Jerry.
The first question I had is the IOCs. It looks like it's really a way to streamline things to be able to customize, but also see a troubleshooting issue maybe since a lot of items are wrapped up into an IOC. Is there a way to like take that IOC and expand it so you can see all the configurations to help troubleshoot?
Like when it triggers or something, or
Well, if you have one that's triggering and it's not supposed to trigger, for example, but you have like components in the IOC and you're trying to troubleshoot to figure out why.
um, that's a great question. I haven't had a chance to play around with them when they actually do trigger, but I believe that there's a button similar to respond that shows you why it triggered, what event triggered them. if I'm not mistaken. But let me find out for sure. I don't know if they show up here. Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks, Jerry, for explaining that question, because yeah, that's a very valid concern. If something's gone sideways, how do I take that logic train back and find out where it derailed?
Yeah, let me find out. I actually just really started diving deep into them this morning. So, but as soon as I can generate some events that will trigger those guys, I'll be able to tell you with more precision.
Okay, great.
Sam,
My other question was,
Yep.
I have a use case. I have one customer that is probably going to balk about having actionable items on respond rules, but most of all of my other customers will want to have those automatically applied. Can I not have one customer be actionable to a respond rule and the others be completely actionable?
Oh yeah, totally. Same thing with IOCs and respond. You'll have your organizations here, and you'll just say, "Hey, exclude that organization or individual." But you
Perfect.
can, yeah, you can do it through IOC. You can also do it through respond rule. So you have those options.
I was going to say what we do, because we've got a couple of customers that don't have respond, but I still want to know if those things come up because it's a co-managed situation.
Yep.
What we do basically is we just don't install the respond module. We still run all of our rules against every org, but obviously it just won't do anything without the respond module because that's where it has permission to make changes. But the rule will still trigger. It'll still make the ticket, and we'll still get to see the exact same trigger without needing to make like, this is the alert only version of the rule and do all of that. The only thing you have to deal with is the little red text at the top of respond reminding you that not everyone is set up to take actions, but that was a really easy way for us to separate them out in that way. Because then it's just, oh, they don't have respond installed, so it won't actually do any actions.
Yeah, and you can
Well,
do the
thanks,
same
Sam.
thing.
That's really a good idea.
Yep, you can do the same thing with IOCs too, if you want to set those up. A lot of the rules that we set up, if you want to flip that coin on the other side, you can, if you uncheck, I believe, this option or check this option, it will only fire a particular rule if they do have that module connected. But IOCs aren't affected by that. They're just looking for the connection. So I think they're going to be really helpful.
So I've also in the, verb, noun, verb, I've seen folks build out a rule for everyone except that one client. Great. Clone that rule, duplicate that rule, change your audience to be the inverse, and then say alert only.
Yeah.
So that way we have for the engineering staff, they have fairly consistent triggering conditions, and then you don't have that red connect organization bang, which gets on my very last nerve. But Sam, if you love it, go for it, man.
There's another
it's
thing
only
coming
annoying when I go in and look at my respond rules. It's fine.
There's another thing coming out that should be around next month-ish is advanced suppression. So if you do want to suppress things that are triggering, instead of creating custom rules for each organization or person, you'll be able to suppress them for respond as well. So that'll be huge, especially for us.
Hey, Ben, did you notice in the view IOC trigger details and analysis?
Hmm?
That's what I'm saying. Go to analysis.
Oh yeah. Let me see. No, where are you looking?
Steve, where were you seeing that exactly?
So yeah, if you look in, if you find one of your IOCs that generates an event there, under the description, there's the third button there is view IOC trigger details. When you click it, it does show
cool.
the events that make up that IOC.
Cool.
Excellent.
That's kind of what I thought. So yeah, I thought it was like very similar to respond rules in that aspect, but no, that's good to know.
Thank you for that, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so we'll have to go out there and trigger some things and then check it out. Look at that flow.
One thing I learned today, I don't know if it's going to be fixed, but if you are creating an IOC and then you go to create a rule immediately after, you may not see that IOC and that drop down immediately. But if you give it 15 minutes, that's when our cache dumps and you will see it as a condition. So like if you're creating a new one and you type IOC and you're like, well, where's it at? That's why. or the IOC is not active. So if it's not active, it'll also not show up in that list. So something to keep in the back of your head.
I want my immediate gratification and I want it now.
Mm. Can I have it?
Love that you guys have already started to jump in on this. Love that you're teaching me something about the platform. Thanks. It's been a busy week. Add some of the things I alluded to with a bunch of the back end work that was done. Be ready for SIEM, to be ready for this, to be ready for more of Fortify. There's some of those little languishing issues that have been on the back burner for a bit. And now that our dev team has got some of the heavy lifting done, look for a lot of new little things to be coming along, lots of tweaks, lots of fixes, and some very organic evolution of the platform. They're talking about 30 or 40 things they want to get done this month. So look for a lot of things like that. And I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about on our next call. Any questions about IOCs and about how you might leverage this? Any madness? Can you nest IOCs? That's a very fair question, Eric. Can I
Nest
build an
as in-
IOC that responds to 2 other IOCs? You could do that with
Find
respond
out.
for sure. Yeah.
And I need to select the application first and do that. Yep. Basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the logic, Eric, great question, by the way, was that, yeah, it's just like someday, Jerry, someday very soon. It's just like any other alert, even though you've custom built it to match your needs, it's just an alert. It's obviously a custom built alert, and we're going to label it as such, but however you're using alerts now, in whatever logic and whether framework, respond, or however, knock wood, that's the way the platform was imagined, and that's how it looks like my dev guys have executed. Enrique, you had a question, my friend.
I did. So Thursday, if we were going to KSIM kind of land, Thursday, as I was boarding the plane to leave Vegas, I get a call from RocketCyber. This machine was trying to communicate to Russia, and they just tell me, I think like a Tor connection or something. So I immediately jump on my mobile. They're asking me, should we isolate? I immediately jump on my mobile phone and stuff. And first thing I see when I get into RocketCyber, it's PowerShell command. So I immediately tell them isolate, and I don't know if Wi-Fi is going to be working on the plane, which it wasn't. So I reach out to our help desk and just let them know, hey guys, this machine is isolated. Please look into it. So apparently on Defense X Friday call, I found out there's this attack came out like in November, proof point documented called like fix click or something like that. But basically this guy was streaming music, and then he wanted to download some songs. He hit a website that told him to download the song, hit Control R, copy paste, and the rest is history, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up having to wipe the machine the following day, because apparently there was no way to get rid of this. So my question is, like, obviously then to say if I did what respond would do to a 365 user any which way, as I was not fully aware of what was going on. Here, Ben, with the case and stuff, could that be triggered automatically in these type of scenarios? Do you foresee this being able to trigger automatically to say, okay, obviously the PowerShell command, which I was talking to someone, I'm like, how not so bright could this guy be? And he's like, well, the thing is they just copy paste. They don't see PowerShell. And even if they did, I don't know if it would make a difference, and it communicated out 443. But it was a weird bunch of characters that at the end of the day do like HTTPS rodeo.h, I don't know what. So, but I need to check with Datto EDR because we had an issue there as well. The agent apparently was not running correctly, but that behavior, any type of PowerShell running weird characters should be blocked. But with that, with KSIM, would we be able to take actions as well, just for being extra precautionary and dropping the 365 user as well in that type of situation.
Yeah, this is exactly the reason that I think IOCs are going to need categories or something, because I see that growing like really quickly. But yeah, as long as we're able to see those events, which I don't know why we wouldn't. I haven't seen too many of the RocketCyber events pop in here yet. But we do have more options. We can obviously lock the account down here. We can also communicate with Datto EDR and isolate the device. That's something new that we added to respond. Or all
So I
three of
would have
them.
expected if Datto EDR was working on the machine, I would have expected it to find that to have some type of rule for something executing PowerShell running weird lettering behind the PowerShell command.
One would hope.
So if that was the case, I would imagine you would get an alert from Datto EDR
Yeah.
for Enrique's weird PowerShell command characters, and then you could act upon it. And I guess isolate as well, which I imagine EDR could do as well. But I'm just trying to look at a whole picture on just taking the extra mile.
Yeah, I'll have to answer that as soon as I start seeing some RocketCyber logs and see what we have in there. But my hope is that we will see everything, like PowerShell commands being executed, schedule tasks being created, pretty much everything that these platforms can see. I don't know what the RocketCyber agent sees. I would hope that they would also monitor that sort of thing. But if they do, and we have it in our logs, then we can take action on it. But
kind of going down that same thought, then today on the production environment, can't we trigger? We can reach back into Microsoft. We can reach back into Google. Can't we trigger Datto EDR to isolate a machine? Or is that available now, or am I just misremembering that from our QA instance?
no, that's here. That's right here. I don't know if can you see my screen?
Oh, there it is. Sorry, I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention to your screen. Yeah.
No, no worries. Yeah, we can totally do that. And I think the plan is for us not to rely on so much the RocketCyber's Datto EDR integration, but rely on our own that gets just as much information and is a little bit more configurable by us. So we can take action on that. But that would be a good IOC. I would have to see if there was anything that was related to our system from Datto EDR in that specific event. I would be interested to know.
Yeah, would that be under customized alerts? The telemetry we get from Datto EDR?
There's
Center pull
let's
down
see
available
here.
apps.
Yeah.
I do
So
see a lot of EDR alerts in there.
yeah, they give us two different ones. There's the event and then there's the info. And I think the event is the more critical thing. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's
Yes,
pretty nifty.
please, no one paste that into your run.
Oh, dang it.
command line.
I just pasted it in my command line. Oh, that's right. I'm running Linux. Never mind. I'm fine. That's what virtual machines are for, man.
Oh, Lord.
See, that's interesting. So it looks like it sets up variables for character 105, 101, 120. That is some really cute obfuscation right there.
Yes, that is. Eric, do me a favor, run that on one of your favorite Linux boxes in your production environment. Let me know how that works out. No, don't do that.
He's doing it, and I can already tell.
You know he is. You know he is. Some isolated air gap machine going nuts. Oh,
let's see. I want to see if ChatGPT can unobfuscate it for me.
Yeah, it will. It'll give you like a rodeo.h.
Ben's out here hacking ChatGPT.
I mean, if it can do the math for me, because that's all it is.
does.
It's basically just characters. Okay. Oh
So
yeah,
you can see the plus ODEO.
That's cool. 5h.rodeo. So yeah, that's the URL that it's trying to get to.
Yep.
That's
which is down.
Fun. Oh, dang it.
It's down now, but well, at
I
least
can't
it
have nice
was when I
things.
tried to run it on my personal Windows machine with all my bank stuff.
You're teasing us, Enrique. Hey, check out this really cool website. Oh, got Rick rolled.
Yeah, it's still down.
Very
So
cool.
you think we need categories, Ben, just to be able to keep it clean or what? On the IOCs?
What was that?
You mentioned with all the amount of activity that's going to come
Oh
up with
yeah.
IOCs that we should have categories.
That's what I'm suggesting because like it's laid out kind of like respond rules, right? Which is all well and good, but when you're gonna like only been doing this for a couple hours this morning. I've already up to 13 and I got probably another 20 more to go. So I can see this growing really quickly and we're gonna need a better way of sorting it. So
And
yeah.
have you told the development team on the other side of the house?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's definitely on the list. I don't want to overwhelm them too much, but yeah, I told him I was like, that's gonna grow. And that night, I also had a vision of us like offering a subscription button where you just basically check a box and it loads everything that we recommend automatically. It's like that would be cool. That way you don't have to add them individually like templates.
That would be so nice, and then I can just go through and decide which ones to turn on then later. Or just
Exactly.
if I decide, oh, I need to use this in a respond rule, it's just waiting there.
Yep. I
I
think that
love
is
that
the plan.
subscription idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that way it would allow you not to have to keep up with things. So yeah.
So it's kind of in the same model. Every time we come out with some new API endpoint that we can monitor, it just magically shows up
Yeah.
under settings and adjust alerts. So yeah, I like that same philosophy.
Yeah,
A
we
while
toyed
back.
around with
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I was gonna say we toyed around with the idea of basically making them read only, and when you go to modify them, it says warning, you're about to modify a global one, and just kind of give you a like, hey, you're gonna deviate from the norm here.
No, actually I like that idea too, is letting partners know that there's the standard, and then there's that one that you tweaked for that one client that was different than the rest. No, I think that's absolutely fair.
Now,
It's absolutely fair.
I think with advanced suppression, you won't need to tweak your rules. You'll be able to set global ones that are effective. And for those random outliers, you'll be able to adjust them with advanced suppression, which is going to help you basically keep your rules clean. So you don't have like 60 different rules for different people.
Hey, Ben, remind me, what is advanced suppression and when will we see it?
That's the thing you'll probably see next month, hopefully. Fingers crossed for everybody.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And Jerry, from about 20 minutes ago, when you asked that question, Ben and I were talking about that this morning about trying to keep up with the video content. We definitely want to give some examples of the indicators of compromise and some of the rest of this stuff and get that out on YouTube. And in all our spare time, we'll have that done any second now. Or maybe I'll get Alex to do some, or we'll figure it out. But yeah, we definitely want to disseminate this information to folks that don't have the opportunity to show up or watch this call at a later date, because there's some good stuff out here. Download a song from a website.
That's awesome. The funny thing is that these companies, like these threat actors, will pay for advertising for Google, and they'll be right up there in the top search results. And so they don't stay there forever, but they are effective.
Yeah, and I was sort of interested to see the last number that Jim had at Connect. Was it 10.2 trillion?
What's that?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Is how much was
Oh,
stolen. That's how
money, yeah.
much profit is being made off of your clients.
I mean, all I need is a fraction of that, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But that's the real driving here. It's a third largest economy in the world. Absolutely, Tina.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ben, are you going to be able to trigger with KSIM any actions to like Datto RMM or?
Yeah. Beyond just isolate or?
Yes.
Just depends on what those actions would be. Isolate was the big thing that we wanted to get into the platform as soon as possible, but there are other actions that we want to add to respond and with other different products too. Totally.
Like maybe backup trigger something to back up files locally or
Yeah. Or another one that was requested was like removing mailbox forwarding rules. I know it's still SaaS related, but it just shows that we do have other actions that we want to put in place. But isolate was the big one.
You
But
know,
not
we
for sure.
talk about building new functionality into the platform. This is something that has come up before. In the chat, give me a thumbs up if you think it's a good idea. Today, we can block accounts automatically using SaaS alerts functionality. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you think it'd be a good idea to build into Respond the ability to automatically unblock accounts. No, I just want to take a quick poll.
No, I know that one. I know that's been requested several times. I don't know
Okay.
why they haven't done that. Well, that, and I also want to know why we can't do more account actions on the account manager. You know, like more than just block. I want to be able to expire passwords and stuff.
Agreed. And I know that Jason has some thoughts on that matter as well. But so far, only one person on this call thinks it's a good idea to automatically unblock. So
You're outvoted. I'll give
I
you.
get outvoted all the time, Ben, as you can see the other meeting we had.
I'll give you a thumbs up. I can't even find, maybe that's what it is. Nobody can find the thumbs up emoji. Here you go.
Sam, Sam
Good stuff.
Antino, I'm sort of one mind. That was a very passive aggressive question to ask because I think it's a terrible idea. We are
What do we
human.
think?
We make accidents. We make mistakes. And if I accidentally go through and unblock a ton of folks that maybe shouldn't have, or if there's scripting that does this after X amount of hours, we've had that sort of question, then I've lost that opportunity to teach the clients what they've done right or wrong. And the same thing with my engineers. If they become reliant on that to, as long as I just go, smoke another cigarette, eventually they'll get unlocked. That's one less ticket for me to deal with. I don't see a lot of upside to that. I can see a
I'm on
use case.
Enrique's side. I would totally
I
like
think
it.
there's a very fine line, Anthony, there, and there requires a lot of intelligence and thought behind what that's going to happen. But we see, and you could go back to the root cause. We see users blocked very frequently, and it might be because I have some rules configured incorrectly or too sensitive, things like that. But as KSIM, SaaS alerts grows and matures, I think they're definitely the features automation. Obviously, automation can bite you at the ass if it's not nip you in the butt if it's not correctly configured, or if stuff happens. But I do see the capability should be there for very granular fine cases that could be defined in the future.
Yeah, keeps people out of the Azure control panel and everything.
There is that. And maybe that targeted use case does keep them from having the keys to the entire kingdom. So I could
Yeah.
definitely see that.
I mean,
Now,
sometimes you don't want
today,
to give your people all the access.
like when we use SIP to auto block a user that for some reason we find suspicious, like in this case, this user from this machine on Thursday. So I go to SIP and I tell it suspected of breached account. So I hit a button and it goes and pulls all the data from the tenant and tells me if there's been any new users added, any password changes, any new MFA devices for the account, any rules created. It'll remove forwarding rules. It does a whole bunch of activities in there automatically, which I imagine they're being done via API calls, and SaaS alerts should be able to do that as well.
We've been asked
And
for some
respond.
reports like that. Yeah, exactly. The pieces are all there. It's putting them into a single executable. Because we can pull the respond rules. We've got telemetry on when a new MFA methodology is added, new devices. All of that is there. Putting that in one spot. I know Amanda's got some thoughts on making a snap report about something like that. Taking that into respond to say push a button to go collect that information. I like that idea. To have a snap. Give me the top 10 things I worry about off of this account for the last 24 hours. I like that idea.
Not just
And
the
kind of,
account, but also the tenant to kind of see any new users added. So we have the account level, but then we also want to check the environment.
very cool. Very cool. Kind of thinking down that snap decision, Jerry was asking about, doing a token flush, doing expire account logins on demand. Ben, I know we've talked about putting that functionality into the account management tool under organizations. Do we know if we're there yet, or if that's going to be anytime this calendar year?
I don't know. I've requested it for our team, and I know you can do it through the API, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's doable.
Yeah, it's doable, and it's just a matter of getting someone to put it in there.
Right, because we absolutely have the functionality built into
Yeah.
Respond. Why don't I
Oh,
have
yeah.
a button to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you
could,
have
it would
a
just live outside the platform, which is unfortunate.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Do you have a note on that one? Or if not, I'm just going to bring it up. Okay,
No, yeah, I think so. But feel free to back me up.
I will check on that.
If you're okay with it, I'd like to spend the last couple of minutes talking about the
Please.
power filters. In case there are people, because there was a couple of questions that came up about those. I don't know if you guys have seen them in here or not, but you do have now global power filters, which is what we used to call whitelisting. So you can establish a one for your entire tenant. So if everybody is coming from a particular location, like we're going to do like United States, you can add that here and we'll just save changes. And so now if you go under the organization, you can, let's go ahead and we'll edit one of these guys. You can choose whether or not to inherit this from the global level. So if we choose not to, we do have that option to remove it. Or if this was blank, you can inherit. Some people have been confused. They said, well, hey, whenever I uncheck inherit, I can't save filters. Well, that's because you haven't specified anything in here. If you don't, it will not let you save. You can't save a location without at least one defined power filter location. I'm still going to say whitelisted. But this, a country or an IP address will suffice too. But this is a great example if you do have an office IP that just doesn't change, and you want to make sure it's never considered that it's like outside. You can add that as at the global level. Something to also keep in mind is the same thing applies to the users. So if we go under our accounts, let's edit Adele here. And this is set to inherit by default. It's inheriting from the organization level, so it's inheriting the United States. If you uncheck this and you maybe like they're traveling or something like that, and they're going to Andorra, you can specify that and save that. But when you come in here to remove Andorra, you're going to lose that save ability unless you recheck the inherit. So once you recheck the inherit, it's there. But this is really helpful because if they were going to Andorra for a certain time, you can just add them and also leave the states. Advanced suppression will have schedules. So if there's someone that is going to be traveling, you can have it start on a date, end on a date, or be indefinite. So something to keep in mind. But this was throwing even a couple of our support guys off. People were calling and said, I can't save it, when I go to do this. And that's because you're not inheriting anything. And again, a user cannot have a blank whitelist just like an organization can't either. And then you have your organization power filters up there. It'll take you straight there.
Now, Ben, if they had a single dedicated IP but no country, would they be able to save? This is one of the uncheck that and put in IP of 8.8.8.8.
Oh, like right here.
Exactly. Now do I get the save button back?
You have update of
Okay.
organization here.
Okay. Yeah, we had one partner early on who used SaaS alerts, and mostly to make sure that nobody used their credentials outside of the office. The only place they could use their credentials was absolutely coming from one IP or one IP range coming out of his building. So, and Tina, the start end date come see me in a month ish when advanced suppression comes out. That's not here just yet.
Correct. But soon. And that will answer a lot of questions. There's a good chance that power filters and advanced suppression will almost merge into one entity because there are so much similarities between them. It's basically the ability to truly whitelist an event, not just whitelist it from outside approved location, but from respond rules and other things that may be triggering. So there'll be an option for you to check a box and say, this is truly whitelisted from any respond rules triggering.
Ben, are you in settings power filters right now?
Yes.
Okay. So Jerry was wondering about, he keeps seeing traffic from Microsoft data centers, file touches, I assume. That's
Yep.
exactly correct, Jerry. If we see frequent flyer activity from the Dublin data center, the Toronto data center, we can allow this exactly that at a global level because we know that file activity coming out of there is perfectly normal because Microsoft's moved some of my data to Dubai today and Ireland tomorrow. It's just what Microsoft does. So that's a quick and easy way to do that globally, or of course, for particular users or particular orgs.
Yeah, and also something to keep in mind, this presets right here will populate with the last 24 hours of information it's seen across your different clients. But if you're not noticing something in here and you're saying, hey, I want to add a lot more Microsoft data centers, maybe for an entire state instead of a particular city or even country, you can type in here as well, whatever you want. You can even do Ben's data center. And you don't necessarily have to specify any of these. The only required field is the ASN. It's going to give you this alert to say, hey, I haven't seen this in the last 24 hours. Are you sure you want to do this? But you can still do it. It's not a game stopper. But you can do that and then you can open it wide open. Say if I want to do Amazon and I want to do every Amazon data center everywhere, you can do that. You can specify your country, city, state, all optional. My
All right.
question is,
Yeah, solid questions, guys. I do have a hard stop
that's
here
cool.
in 3 minutes, but does anybody else have any parting thoughts, questions, concerns? My
It's
favorite
funny.
meeting this whole week.
You can actually do an ASN as the single location for whitelisting, so it doesn't have to be a city or a IP address. So that's kind of cool.
Yes.
It's like if you had, well, I mean, this would be cool. Like, say you had all the people like with total or something like that. You could be like, only total ASNs are approved. Everything else is blocked. You could like
I
do
can
something
see
like
that.
that.
That's a solid use case. Yeah.
Yeah, everything else is outside approved. So that's kind of cool.
Did you
Keep
guys
in
see
mind.
that Sentinel-1 EDR
I saw the
situation
link. I haven't had a chance
where
to dig into it.
they take advantage of an upgrade path?
No, that sucks. Whoops.
Oh,
You.
oops.
Whoops.
Safe travels. Yeah.
That sucks for them. I never want to be in these articles. I never want to have any of those.
Senor
You
Ben,
don't want to be name dropped as the guy that
No.
left that off by default.
No, I do not. And I do not.
Senor Ben did
Thank
not listen to Enrique's stupid rules and got bit.
Exactly.
Folks,
Oh well.
thanks so much for your time today. I thought this was a fun one. We learned a little bit something and telegraphed a couple of things that are coming. We got lots more coming in the year. I look forward to seeing you all on meetings and maybe in October, the next time we all get together and kumbaya. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week. Bye-bye.
See you guys.